Hello. So I was having an afternoon siesta and I had a dream while I was sleeping, and I woke up from that dream and I was just thinking about what it meant. I had a dream that I was on a date. I wasn't sure if it was a date. It was a date with my ex-boyfriend, my first ever boyfriend. And the person who assaulted me. And sorry, I don't know why I'm laughing. And in that dream, it was very obvious that I was uncomfortable, that we weren't compatible. And I had made the decision in that dream, but it was from my present self. I was not who I was back then. I was me today. And I made a decision to just end the date in the middle of it and pack it up. And my sisters ended up being there, and I got into like a problem with my sisters, but in the end, everything was repaired and it was over. And I ended up thinking about what life would have been like, or what life would be like today if I just had not gone on the second date. If I had decided from the first date that I shouldn't see this person and end it there. For context, I knew from the first date that I didn't want to be in a relationship with my ex. I was 19? Was I 19? I was 20. Yeah, I was 20, and I didn't have the best boundaries, to be completely honest with you. I really was sucky with boundaries. I didn't have a lot of great tools when it came to having and sustaining healthy relationships. So there's a lot of context to why I engaged the way I did with my ex, and why I did certain things, why I didn't do certain things. But I was thinking about what life would be like today if I hadn't gone on a second date and if I had listened to myself. And to be honest, I've never thought about that, because for one, it's never been helpful. It's never come up as relevant or important or meaningful in my journey so far of development and healing, and not just healing around this situation, but just in general. I've never really thought about it. It's never served a purpose. And that dream didn't make me feel resentful towards my past self. But it did make me think about like why it's important to listen to your gut, even when the person isn't a blaring red flag. One of the problems I've had when it comes to my history with people pleasing, accommodating, lack of boundaries, is that if somebody isn't evil and if somebody hasn't done me wrong, I find it very difficult to draw a boundary. I've found it difficult in the past to not engage with somebody just because I didn't want to. I didn't really feel like I had that right. I thought that that was mean. I thought that that was bad-willed, mean-spirited, and closed-minded. And I thought that wasn't something that a good person would do, that a kind person would do. And on some level, I just didn't think I had the right. And with my ex, on the very first date, there was no, he was not mean to me. There was nothing toxic showing up. There just wasn't a compatibility. We weren't compatible. I didn't feel like I wanted to develop a romantic relationship with this person. We could have great conversation. He's very intelligent and he has fantastic ideas. And I had yet to go on a date with somebody that I found brilliant and exciting. And so that was really motivating for me and very exciting to meet somebody who I thought was really smart and I thought was curious about the world and who was exploring their own curiosity. I really loved that. And I loved being able to talk to him about things and be able to have interesting conversations. That was exciting to me. And I took a lot of the things that worked and the positive things, and I made that be more meaningful than it actually was in terms of determining whether or not I should go on a second date or not. When the date was ending and he was walking me back to my apartment, it just kind of felt like it was already a given that we were gonna go on a second date. And back then, I just didn't really know how to say no. I'm thinking about myself back then, and I just had no idea how to turn off the pleasing meter. And it's so sad, and sometimes I struggle to understand exactly what was going through my head, because it's been such a long time. It's been like 5 years. And it's really hard for me to grasp like why I was so stuck in this way now that I've had to do a lot of work. I'm so separate from it, and that dream really showed me that, because in that dream, like, my repulsion was just so like front facing. It was so it was at the front of the entire experience. And when I was younger, well, I felt the lack of desire to continue this relationship. It wasn't taken seriously, and so I didn't actually feel it, or from what I remember, I don't think I felt it as strongly as I felt probably just more anxiety over having to make a decision, and what decision was I going to make, and was I going to hurt somebody? Was that going to be the wrong decision? Do I have the right? What are my rights? You know, it was always a lot of circling around those thoughts. Do I have the right? What are my rights? Is this hurtful? Is this mean? Is this bad? You know, why do I deserve to say no? It's never why should I say yes. It was usually why do I deserve to say no? Why do I deserve to end this? And I don't hate myself, and I didn't hate myself as a 20-year-old and as a young person. I don't think I would have read myself as somebody who like had deep insecurities in that way, or struggled with boundaries as much as I realized that I did. You know, I loved myself. I wanted to protect myself. I've always wanted to take care of myself, and I've always tried very hard to. But the reality is that back then I did not have the tools that I needed. And that's just so clear. That dream showed me so clearly that I didn't. And I felt, even kind of making this video, I've actually felt pretty insecure throughout it. Just speaking, I feel like I'm not being very eloquent or flowing and blah, blah, blah. And maybe it's because like I'm hesitating a lot, because this really is a new thing. I haven't thought about what life would be like had I ended it the first time and just listened to myself. Because it wasn't really even like a reality. Even though I knew I didn't want to go on another date, I don't think it even really served as a reality in my mind that could be possible, that I could just not go on the second date. You know, I thought I would need to give it at least a few dates, give it time, find a way. Like, I think that I don't remember fully because it was so long ago, but I can imagine that part of me was planning a breakup later on, because I felt that because I was already on the date, I was in this relationship and I needed to be in this relationship. And even though I was thinking about the end because I didn't want to be in this relationship, I felt that I was committed to it from the moment I went on the date, and it's specifically because there was not blatant disrespect. I was not being hurt. Nothing evil or cruel was happening to me on that first date. And so I felt I had no reason to justify not going. And so I needed to go. You know, there needed to be a reason. It was not enough. My lack of interest was not enough. I needed to be uncomfortable. I needed to be hurt. It needed to be serious, which, looking at it now is like, it's a horrible way to operate in the dating world. It's not helpful at all. But that's where I was coming from. And, I'm sure that that's rooted in a lot of stuff that I don't want to dig up right now. But that kind of, I think, explains a little bit of why I didn't walk away in the beginning. And I think that looking at it now, if I had walked away, what would happen? I mean, I don't even think, part of the reason why I don't think I've ever imagined this is because what world would that be? I would have to have been a different person. I would have, because nothing happens in a bubble. That date and that relationship didn't happen in a bubble. I didn't just magically decide one day to stop listening to myself and to go on a date with somebody and not want to go on a second date, and then decide to go on a second date just cause I felt differently on that day. This was a pattern. This was, this is how I was. So I can't even imagine what life would have been like. I can't even imagine saying no off top, because who is that? What woman is that? What girl is that knows how to do that? I didn't know how to do that. And it's so crazy. I think one of the things the dream did show me is it's so crazy realizing how much I didn't know how to do. I really didn't know how to stand up for myself. I didn't know how to defend myself in certain ways. I really struggled with certain things, and it's helped me see my growth, even just through this conversation, because I'm thinking, I was going to try and give it a shot to think about what life would be like, but I can't. It would be in bad faith, because that's not a timeline, because I was never that person at 20 years old. I was not that girl who knew how to do that. I didn't have the tools. That's not who I was. So I don't know how I would have conjured up that ability. That would have been superhuman of me, to be able to break through all my boundary issues, all my insecurities, all my people pleasing, all my accommodating tendencies, and say no. That would have required an incredible amount of, I don't even know what to call it. I really feel like that would have been magical. That wasn't who I was. It wasn't who I was. And in a way, I actually find that kind of healing and liberating, because it's not that everything is what it is and, you can't, it was unavoidable. I don't think the situation was unavoidable. But, and I don't know why I'm laughing. Maybe I'm laughing because I'm healing. So it's not that hard to think about anymore. It's also been a long time. It's been 5 years. It'll be 5 years that we've broken up, been broken up in February. And 5 years since we started dating in October or September, I think. So yeah, this time of year, it was the fall and the winter of 2020. So yeah, I think about it and I'm I've grown so much, I've changed so much. I'm happy. I think that dream was also a little bit of a gift, because it was nice to see that as my current self, I would not have made the same mistake. I would not have made the same decision. And I think that it's important to take the shame out of the word mistake. It was a mistake to go on a second date. But it doesn't mean that I'm evil or I'm stupid or you know what I mean? I make mistakes. I'm a human being. I'm not perfect. It was a mistake. I didn't know. And I had to learn pretty hard lessons because of it. But I've learned those lessons. I've done the work, which I think I should be really proud of myself for. And I think I think we all have a version of this type of thing in our own lives. And I think you can probably bet that you've grown too. And you should be proud of yourself too. And I guess there kind of is no point and looking back and asking what if, because like it wasn't possible. Or at least for this specific situation, it wasn't possible. I wasn't the type of person that was going to say no thanks to a second date. That wasn't me. You'd be asking, I would be asking myself to be someone else. And that's unfair, you know, because then we're not even having the same type of conversation. Now we're having some type of mystical body shaping conversation where people are entering different people's experiences and lives and living for them, because that was not me. That was not the girl who was living. She didn't have that capacity because she didn't know how. She didn't have the tools. And she had a lot to work through, as a lot of people in their early 20s do. And so it helps create grace and room, and, you know, removes the need for perfection and removes the high expectations for, you know, doing better. You did what you could. I did what I could. At least I felt the lack of desire to go on the second date. Even if I did go and got into a whole relationship, you know, at least I felt something. At least I wasn't completely numb. You know, there are levels to it. So I guess I wanted to share that. I feel a little insecure, to be honest, about the way this video has gone, because I feel awkward talking. I don't know. I feel like I don't have a good grasp on my words, but I think that's important, because this is not necessarily an easy thing to talk about. I really don't talk about it often. I don't talk about it with like people in my life very often, because there's no need to. I mean, maybe there is a need to, but I just don't. And I talk about it on here pretty rarely these days, because it just doesn't come up as much. But these last few videos I've been talking about it, I guess because it's resurfaced, maybe because it's close to the time. So maybe there's something going on in my mind that's bringing this up again, which is okay. It doesn't feel triggering to talk about it, actually. It's relieving, and it's kind of nice. I think I'm happy to be in a place where I feel like I can offer something to this community and have it not be like trauma soaked, you know. I'm in a good place. I'm in a really good place, and I'm not beyond it. Like, I don't know if that's a thing, but I'm not weighed down by it. You know, I can talk about it. I can laugh, as you can see. It feels awkward sometimes. I don't know what to say because I don't have thoughts prepared, because I don't spend all my time thinking about this. And I think that that's a sign of hope to people who need it. Like, you're not going to spend your whole life thinking about what happened to you. And I know that everybody's situation is different, but I do believe that there is an opportunity, a chance for relief and clarity. And it's hard. I mean, I'm here 5 years out, so it's taken time. And I will be honest with you, the work that it took, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of introspection. It's a lot of questioning yourself and breaking things down. I wrote a lot of letters. I wrote so many letters. I had to leave a lot of friendships, because for me, the problem has been connected between friendships and relationships. I had to draw a lot of boundaries with myself. I had to be honest with myself, accountable with myself. I had to talk to family. Like, it's been a lot of work. It has by no means been easy, stress-free, like natural. It has been intentional, but you can do it. It's not debilitating work, and it's liberating work, and it becomes easier over time. And it's not linear, it's up and down, but you'll get to this point where it's just not really hard anymore. And I don't know, maybe I'm speaking too soon, but I do believe that a point of relief reaches you, and from there on, it kind of carries through. And while hard moments might resurface, for the most part, you get to live in this energy of being healed at a certain level. And I think I'm reaching that place, which is a beautiful place to be. So much so, like, sometimes I feel sad that I can't really remember everything I felt back then, but I think it's for the best. And I know that I felt them, and I know that I felt it. I, on some level, have it documented because I've been making videos for a very long time now, and I've documented a lot of my crying. So it's all, you know, I know I've been through the ups and the downs and the emotions. But I can say that I think I'm on the other side of it. And so please take that as a sign of hope that there is another side to this. You know, while it might be a lifelong, experience you take with you, it doesn't have to always be a pain point. You know, for me, while this might have been like the big tipping off point for me having to go within and do a lot of work, it ended up being about so much more, obviously, because this was just a few months of my life. So much more than that relationship. I healed so much, and I got to get to know myself in a way that has been so incredible, and access passions and dreams and ways of being and do things that, like, you know, it was never actually really about that. It was never about him. It was never about what happened. It was just a vehicle. And maybe there would have been a different vehicle that came along. Maybe I would have found my way on my own. I don't know. It happened the way it did. And if I could go back, I was thinking about if I could go back, would I like do it all over again? But I don't think that makes sense to even, I don't think that's a question that makes sense to ask, because again, I was who I was and I am who I am. So I don't think that's a question worth asking. But if I could go back and speak to myself around that time, I would probably just hug myself and, you know, let myself know that a bright future awaits you as you're about to go through your dark night. You will come out on the other side. I think I would just try to give myself reassurance that you're going to make it through, but this is going to be a tough period of your life. And beyond that, I don't know if there's anything to change. Like, I don't know if I have that power, you know. And I don't think that's a negative thing. I don't find that disempowering. I find that to just be life, which is okay for me in this specific situation, because I don't have the same experience of all people who are survivors. And I don't think I would say that if I had a different type of experience with assault. But with my specific experience, I've come to live with it, and I can manage the pain and the trauma. I know that's not the same for everybody, which is exactly why I want to do this kind of work and just showing up and sharing where I'm at, because hopefully it ends up spurring some type of educational shift in our system that ultimately ends up creating less violence, less sexual harm. So yeah, that's it. I don't really know where this video went, but I'm gonna upload it, and I hope that you all have a good rest of the week. New week. It's Sunday here, so go back to work on Monday. Yeah. Bye.